This video describes how to repair a broken rope on a Coverpool's pool cover. You need a few materials such as an awl, seam ripper, scissors, and a marker. This is a very difficult job. I'm just letting you know from the start. One of the ropes ripped and there's no other way to get it back on than to buy a new rope, which you can see here, which comes attached to some webbing. You'll end up sewing this into the pool cover. Here's a time-lapse video. I'm cutting out part of the old rope and the old webbing. I'm using the seam ripper for this part. It's very tedious. You got to measure carefully so that the new rope comes into contact with the old rope and so that the webbing is at the right spacing. You see here I'm using the awl to repair the triangle piece back because I had to cut the sutures, the stitches. So here's the new rope and the webbing, and I'm using the awl and thread to sew it into position on both sides. I got it underneath the cover on that movement. Now I'm using some clamps just to provide some support and stability so I can get to work. Paying special attention to the end part and to the beginning part, meaning both ends. The part where the rope attaches, I'm attaching very redundantly to the cover, and then the part where it overlaps with the existing rope and webbing also gets a lot of extra attention and stitch work. And then I run it back and forth a couple of times, attaching the cover to the webbing, attaching the webbing to the other webbing, and then finally attaching the rope to the webbing by stitching through the rope on both sides. And this basically just goes on and on and on. A lot of stitching. This part is the final part where I'm going through the rope, attaching one rope to the other rope, and I want a full line of stitches from beginning to end, essentially, so there's no chance that this thing's going to rip or that the rope will slip out. This took about 3 hours, I would say, to do all of the stitch work. This is, I think, played at about 10 times normal speed. So here's the end result. You see a line of sutures, or a couple lines of sutures, stitches going up and down on both sides, and here's the undersurface showing numerous stitches, again fully repairing it. Now I have to run the rope through the track, so I'm taking the end off of the track. I'm feeding it through here. I sewed a thread to the end of the rope so that it can be pushed through the track. You have to attach the glider, then you stick the glider in the track, then you attach it to the leading edge bar, and then you put the bolts through the fabric itself. I used a drill to do that. I had to kind of move it a little bit so I can get my hands underneath it to tie it up. And here's the final test, and it seems to work just fine. I needed a little bit of adjustment at the end to make sure it closed evenly and operated smoothly and properly, but basically this worked. So this is definitely doable if you have a lot of time and you're willing to spend some time on the floor there sewing this thing together. There are other videos showing how this is done with the sewing machine, but I don't see how you can get a sewing machine on site like that. I think this is the only way. This is the way the pool company told me that they do it. So the parts are available on eBay. You can buy everything. You can check my blog for more information.